The fall of James Harper. The summer of 1999 scorched the small town of Weston, Missouri. Thunder rumbled in the distance the night Sarah Whitman was found, her body bruised, her lifeless form tangled in a patch of thorns in Ridgewood Forest. The town recoiled in horror. Sirens howled through the trees as red and blue lights painted the darkness. By dawn, detectives had already labeled a suspect. James Harper, a 23-year-old auto mechanic who lived alone, kept to himself, and couldn't prove where he was that night. He didn't have a criminal record, but he fit the profile they wanted: quiet, poor, and easy to convict. A partial fingerprint on Sarah's wallet, a vague witness, and public outrage was all it took. James sat silently in court as the judge read his sentence: life without parole. Time crawled inside the concrete cell James called home. Days turned to years. He didn't speak much. He didn't have to. He wasn't angry anymore. He was numb. Each night, he stared at the ceiling, his mind replaying the trial, the questions, the disbelief. 25 years later, his cell was still the same, but the world outside had moved on. The truth remained buried in silence. Until one man, driven by something he couldn't explain, stumbled across his case. Detective Marcus Trent had built his career on closing cases that no one else could. He didn't believe in luck. He believed in facts, grit, and instinct. While teaching a seminar on cold cases, he reviewed the Harper file on a whim. He paused, flipping through old evidence. No DNA match. No eyewitness. A partial print. That's all they had. He read it again, then again, his eyes narrowing. Something didn't sit right. Why had the DNA on the victim's necklace never been tested with modern methods? His hands trembled slightly as he reached for the phone. "Get me the original evidence box," he said. The box was old, taped, sealed, and dusty. Inside, photos, crime scene sketches, and one velvet bag containing the necklace that Sarah wore the night she died. It was smudged, almost forgotten. Marcus whispered, "Let's see what you're hiding." He sent it to the crime lab for full-spectrum DNA sequencing, a technique unavailable in the 90s. Then he dug deeper into Sarah's circle. Friends. Enemies. Former lovers. One name came up more than once. Craig Wilton. A campus security guard back then. The girls said he was odd. Obsessed. Always watching Sarah. Trent checked. Wilton left town the week after the murder. His alibi. On duty. But the logs were missing. Wilton had changed his name. Moved to Arizona. Arrested in 2003 for assault. Sealed records. A history of violence. Trent flew out, watching him from across a cafe window. Middle-aged. Nervous. Fidgety. Trent's phone buzzed. The DNA was a match. Trent's pulse raced as he whispered into his recorder, "Craig Wilton. Confirmed DNA match. Necklace worn by victim Sarah Whitman. Harper didn't do it." He turned off the recorder, took a breath, and said, "We're reopening the case." The DA didn't want the case reopened. "This was 25 years ago, detective. It'll make us look incompetent." Trent fired back, "We put an innocent man in a cage for a crime he didn't commit. You should want to look like you care." He assembled the full case file. DNA reports. Witness testimony. Sarah's friend Tina, who remembered Wilton stalking her dorm. Even a retired janitor remembered Wilton sneaking off his shift the night Sarah died, his uniform muddy and ripped. With mounting pressure, Wilton cracked. Interrogated by Trent in a small room under flickering lights, he barely held together. "She screamed," Wilton sobbed, eyes wide and broken. "I panicked. I didn't mean to kill her. I didn't know what else to do." Trent didn't flinch. "You let an innocent man rot for 25 years. Wilton fell silent. It was over. The courtroom was tense. News crews flooded the halls. James Harper walked in slowly, hands trembling, wearing a cheap suit that hung off his gaunt frame. He hadn't seen freedom in 2 decades. Marcus Trent sat behind him. Calm. Focused. The judge reviewed the evidence, then turned to Wilton, who now faced trial. "James Harper," the judge said, "you are hereby declared innocent of all charges. You are free to go." The courtroom erupted. James blinked, stunned. Trent stood slowly, and they locked eyes. The sky was a little bluer that day. Birds louder. James stepped into the world like a man born again. "You saved my life," James said, gripping Trent's hand. "You gave me back my name." "You always had it," Trent replied. "They just took it away." James began speaking at law schools, his voice trembling but powerful. He talked about silence, about fighting even when no one believed you. Trent returned to his cold case files, opening one drawer after another. Because the truth doesn't age. And justice, though slow, never dies. He looked at a photo on his desk, Sarah Whitman, smiling. And beside it, a sticky note that read, "Keep digging. Someone's waiting."